Go listen to Fat Nap.
Boom! Boom! Fat nap. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are here with the one and only Aiden. Aiden and I are going to be endeavoring into the outside world, as in aliens, and whether they exist or not. I find aliens to be pretty interesting. Aiden does too. What a better guest. I mean, I called Neil deGrasse, and he wasn't going for it, so I got the next best thing.
And it's good too because I've been abducted before.
You've been abducted?
I've been probed many times.
In the anus? I know a guy like that. He's in a band. Blink-182.
Oh, Tom DeLonge.
Aliens exist, live in LA. So tell us about your probing experience there, man.
Well, I was laying in bed one night. This was back when my parents were still together. So my dad was in the house. And I'm laying there, and I think it's my dad that walks in my room. I'm not sure. It could be. It looked a lot like him. And I'm not going to go into details, but he started probing me. But to this day, I think it might have been an alien that took over my father's body.
Oh, God.
No, I'm just kidding.
Have you felt like you've seen a UFO before?
There was this one time, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, I was going to Walmart. It was late at night. It was probably like 10 o'clock, so kind of started getting less busy, and I was looking up at the sky, and it was a clear night. You could see all the stars and everything, but I was looking up, and it almost seemed as if there's like a shadow going up, and like, you know, most planes and stuff, they'll have like the blinking lights and everything, but yeah. I didn't see any lights. I just saw like the stars slowly like fade out and like not be able to see them.
Okay.
But it could have been anything, really.
I mean, technically it was a UFO because it was an unidentified
It was
object.
Unidentified, and it was flying.
Flying, and yeah, you didn't...
It was
didn't
probably
know what
an
it was,
object.
So. No, I feel like there was one time I was driving home late at night again, and it was probably just a helicopter, but it was this thing. It went really fast. I followed it the whole way home. I was going like 2 miles, and it was like, you know, the sky's big, so you can see one spot in the sky for driving 2 miles. So it like is going. Well, then I get in my neighborhood, and it's actually near your house.
Oh.
And it flies, and then it's not moving anymore. It just starts floating there. So I drive past it. Well, I'm like thinking it's really cool, so I pull into a driveway and turn around so I can see it again. Gone. Now, it might have just been a helicopter or something. Could have been. Because I believe aliens exist. I don't believe they visited Earth.
You don't believe they've visited Earth?
Nope.
But they're out there.
I believe that they're out there. I don't know. What do you think? Think they're there?
Well, I mean, if you look at the universe and how massive it is and the number of stars that have planets, I mean, there's no definite evidence against that they exist.
Right.
So,
I mean, seriously, I know this sounds harsh, but like the only evidence that you could pull up to say that aliens don't exist is God. And God is faith. God isn't necessarily fact.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't believe in God, but I still think you can believe in aliens and believe in God.
Yeah, there's a very distinct line between religion and science.
Yeah. But no, I think that they're out there, and I don't know necessarily if they are, you know, in our solar system. I don't think that they are, but they could be. But it depends on what you think of as an alien, because to me, an alien is anything that comes from, or not even comes from, but that lives on another planet.
Yeah.
I mean, we even call, you know, people here aliens, like illegal aliens.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a thing. But if there's bacteria on another planet that's living, I'd consider that an alien.
That is an alien.
Yeah.
That is an alien.
So,
even like plant life or anything, like
exactly.
Anything that's like detectable or has like cells, I guess.
Right.
From another solar system or another planet, it can basically be described as an alien.
And, you know, water is such a key thing for us to survive that maybe, you know, but the aliens out there, maybe they would have adapted. They don't need the water, but I think water's a safe bet. Well, even frozen water, so ice.
Yeah.
Bacteria and stuff can live in there because when the ice forms, it forms crystals, and there's gaps in the middle that bacteria can form in. So, like, if you look at Saturn, I can't remember the name, but one of its moons.
Oh, it's like Europa or something.
Yeah, it has ice.
Yeah.
So there could be bacteria there, even though it's ice, because scientists like to say, look for the water, and I know scientists know way more than I do about this, but bacteria can live in ice, so there could be life there. Mars, they like to say, but that can't be.
It's just like here on Earth, because I saw this story, like, it must have been like a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, but the scientists, they were like drilling in Antarctica or somewhere like that where it's like just frozen Earth, and they dug up these specimens of worms that dated back to like 30,000 years ago. Was it 30,000 years ago? Something like that.
It's a long time ago.
But yeah, living things can still be found in like ice and
yeah,
the past.
No, it's definitely, so even then, the bacteria side of it, I believe that you can't say that the bacteria part doesn't exist, because you look at how vast our universe is. I mean, it's expanding, that's confirmed. You don't have to believe in the Big Bang, but it's expanding and new things are forming all the time. If you look at where we are, if you pulled up a picture of the Milky Way, which is our galaxy, if you pull that up and then you look at where our solar system is at in it, it is so tiny compared to the vast of the galaxy.
And we're like on the very edge of our
right
galaxy too. Like there's so much inside the actual galaxy, like going deeper in towards the core.
Yeah. So just how big it is, I don't think that you can say for 100% certain that there aren't aliens. And you look at okay, so a lot of times they talk about the living conditions on a planet, where you have to have the right conditions to live. For us, maybe.
Yeah.
But if something happens and like the Big Bang released carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, those are like the most abundant elements out there, and that's mainly what we're composed of.
Yeah.
So if that happened to be to where when this Big Bang happened, if or whatever created, doesn't have to be the Big Bang, but whatever created our universe, there is a very, very, very large amount of carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen. And we're composed of all that stuff, and by a lot. You look at our body, we're like 78% water.
Yeah.
Hydrogen and oxygen. So if we were created by the most abundant elements, imagine something that could have been created by different elements through this process. Like it could happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be for sure. And you look at the periodic table, you go down in oxygen, the things below it, like sulfur or whatnot, they all have roughly the same electron configuration and whatnot. That's why we put them in that category. So when you think about it like that, you could have something that's, hydrogen maybe not so much, but there could be other combinations of elements that create up a different species that is able to live on a super hot or super cold or super dark planet.
Yeah, and we just don't know about it yet because we've never seen that kind of adaptation in any species here on Earth.
Right, because they have no need to. If the sun went out, I mean, I think we'd all die, but there's another planet
Black
out there.
hole sun.
If there's like another planet out there where the sun isn't out there, if it doesn't exist, that doesn't mean that necessarily something couldn't spawn, form there. And you look at plants, and it's almost unfathomable, because you're thinking, well, we get plants feed off of the sun, and we eat plants, it's just a big cycle. How could but we can't comprehend that there might be something out there that doesn't need the sun.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just something so it's definitely possible.
I mean, we've already seen this before too, where like we've sent these microscopic organisms like into space, and they've survived for however long without any oxygen or anything. Like those little they call them like microscopic like bears or something. They look like those little bears, and those things they don't even need any oxygen or water or anything like that to live. They just keep going. They don't need anything.
So speaking of that, one theory on how the Earth came to be is Mars. Science has proved that there were oceans there. Like,
Yeah.
they can look, you can see where rivers were, and what they say is, I don't know if they necessarily know how it dried up, but what they say is possibly a meteor hit it at one point, and it hit it with such a force that shards broke off. Well, there's water there, which means life could have been probable at that time. Not necessarily human life, but bacterial life. So it hit there, and when it hit, bacteria got stuck to that meteor. But when you see a car crash, parts fly off.
Yeah.
So when it hit, parts flew off, and one part happened to drift to Earth, land there, and boom, life started.
I've never heard that
off.
theory.
Yeah, I learned that one from Mr. Neal.
Oh, Mr. Neal.
But yeah, so that's one of the ideas of how Earth came to be, is something like that happened where a meteor hit, bacteria came off with it, and there's a bacteria here on Earth that can survive extreme heat, extreme cold, disease. Like, there's bacteria that's been here for a long, long time, and so that's nothing compared to the elements that you're getting in space. And so it's just a possibility that it drifted off, landed here, and was able to spark and form life. And the only, thing in my opinion that's kind of off with that idea is, how do you have a bacteria and then get hundreds of thousands of species?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you had 3 bacteria come with that piece of rock, how do you have that much change in us from that moment? So,
I mean, and really, we're just on the tip of the iceberg of, like, discovering these things and figuring out what this is all about, because we've only been trying to, like, really get into this stuff for, like, the past 100 years or so, a couple hundred years. And humans have only been around for, like, probably, like, maybe a million years, maybe, like, a couple 100,000 years. So we're very new to the game.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah. And if you look at our DNA, compared to chimps, well, chimps that's our, like, closest relative, whatever, and they're smart for being animals, but we're like, oh, well, we're smarter. But our DNA is so similar. There's about like 95% of our DNA is the same with theirs. That's 5% of DNA that's different, and that 5% is what leads us to building cars, houses, roads, a space shuttle. So what about when something else is out there that has 5% more than us of that? So just imagine, I'm just saying that 5% could do so much. But yeah, so it's crazy to think about, but we're a different breed.
And it's hard to think about those things for, like, normal people, because we have science and scientists that they test all these things, and they basically decide for us what is possible and what's impossible. But once something that comes about that we've never seen before, like that asteroid that came near Earth that was like that really long, like, oval shape, and we'd never seen that before, and there's all sorts of theories to what that could be, and us normal people, we just wait for science to say what it is,
we wait for
and then
the
that's
news
what
report.
we believe.
And it's actually crazy how much science, every day there's something new discovered, but we don't hear about it because it's just not portrayed as much. But there's something new found out every single day, and it just doesn't reach us. So I don't know, I just feel like that'd be, I don't know.
It all comes down to money and the government,
man. Speaking of the government, Area 51.
Oh, Area 51. To me, I think it's kind of hyped up. I think it's really just hyped up. Like, it might have been used for, like, something top secret, like extraterrestrial stuff, like way back in the day, but now, I mean, with all the satellite imagery and all the people that already know about all this in Area 51, I just don't think they would have the time, or they would put in the effort to keep everything so secret there anymore.
I don't think that it was ever aliens there, really. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't think that it ever was aliens. I think that it was a military testing base for their new equipment, and they didn't want it to get out, and people are like, oh, there's aliens there, and they're like, no, there's not, but really they're saying, yeah, believe that, Because if you believe that we're just probing aliens here, then it's not going to get out that we're actually testing our new developments in aircraft or whatnot.
And that's what we like to do as human beings. We like to take the most far out idea we can think of and place it on something.
Yep. It just makes it more enjoyable. But so I was thinking about these aliens. If they were out there, the reason UFOs to me don't seem all that reasonable is I'm going to assume that they would kind of be like us. Whoever's out there, if they were someone trying to get to Earth, they wouldn't just come and be like, "Oh, we're here." Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They would have a satellite go around. You know, they would have something so they can see everything, because their technology is going to be far more advanced than ours, because things are light years away now. So, light years away, they got here, and they would be able to take a picture, I would assume, of our Earth, and then be able to see everything. So they would have a satellite go around or something. Or they'd drop a rover, like we did on Mars. They would drop something down that can...
That thing would be destroyed so fast. If we had a rover, like an extraterrestrial like vehicle come down, like you wouldn't even get to see it. Like
Unless...
Like militaries would be on that so fast, or they would keep it covered up.
Or they drop in the ocean, and it happens to be like these tiny things, because they know that there's life here, and they don't want that to interfere, so they have the small things that are coming out and looking out. I'm not saying I believe in this. I'm just saying that's a possibility of something like...
That's what dolphins are.
Exactly.
You know how smart dolphins are?
They're crazy smart. But
those things have to be aliens. They came here. Yep. They're here to keep an eye on us.
So that's my only thing is I don't think UFOs have been here yet. I don't think aliens have been here yet, because they would have at least observed us a little bit first, and then if they can get here, because they're not close. They're not on Mars. They're not in our solar system.
No.
If they can get here, then they could erase us.
Oh yeah. If they have the technology to get to Earth and watch us, would they really want to spend their time here? Like, if they have that technology, they're doing way better things than stopping by Earth.
Right. And they would see, because they made it here, so they would see that we're not as technologically advanced as them. They could do what they wanted.
We're basically like what dinosaurs are to us. Like, they got no interest in us. Like, we're just these inferior species and beings.
Oh yeah. So it's and we are that to other planets, because when you look at the galaxy, or not the universe, I mean, it's expanding, but things are light years away. So the people towards the beginning of the bang, I'm just saying Big Bang, like I said, I think it's a
beginning of the universe.
Thing, when you look towards the beginning of the universe where it started, those things that live up there,
they see everything
farther ahead of us too, because they have more. Time wise, they're ahead of us, so they got started sooner. They could reach us, and then from there, but we are ahead of the people on the outside of the universe. So it's just something that we will be those aliens someday, maybe, if we can get to that point before.
Yeah, but then we get into all the theories of basically like traveling back in time, or like if you took the time to travel at light speed to another place, like things would be totally different than you saw it like through a telescope.
Right. Oh yeah, because we're seeing like it 5 years, depending on how far you're looking out, but it's like that was 5 years ago that we're seeing that or something.
Because like if there's an extraterrestrial being out there and they're looking at Earth and they're 65 million light years away, then they're seeing dinosaurs right now. Like they're looking back in time.
Yeah, they had a telescope. Yeah, you're right. I didn't really think about that. Yeah, so there could be something seeing our dinosaurs. And they're like, wow, we should go explore that. I mean, obviously they wouldn't make it in time. Like, look at those magnificent creatures. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. That just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, that's one of those things that scientists always talk about.
But, yeah. So, looking at dinosaurs.
Well, because light travels.
Right. That's crazy. I've always thought, I guess I just didn't think about it in that context, but like there could be a star that has exploded, but we don't know it yet because it hasn't.
The light takes all that time to travel.
Yeah. which is crazy because of how fast light travels. Like that's just something that's difficult to comprehend, light years and whatnot.
And that's why lots of people don't like to get into space and stuff.
Because there's the people that are interested and they want to know everything and want to know why. And she's like, I don't know. That's just I don't understand. I don't care. I'm content with what's here on Earth, and that's another thing I struggle with. Not like struggle, but there's species on Earth that we don't even know about yet. We haven't even reached the bottom of the ocean, like the absolute bottom. So it's just like, what else is there? It's hard to comprehend, but you look at it and it's like we're trying to figure out what's out there when really we don't even know everything that's on our own our own planet.
That's a big argument too for like research and exploring. It's people always think, why are we going out there?
Yeah,
we don't know what's out there.
Oh yeah,
we don't even know what's in our own oceans.
So yeah, they don't like them going out there when we have stuff here. But one thing, this isn't with aliens necessarily, but it's why it's important to explore space, is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He wrote 2 books, by the way, or he's wrote more, but he wrote one, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. That's pretty good. I'd recommend it. It's a nice short read. And then he wrote one on an accessory to war, and it's about how astrophysics helps with military. Again, both of them are super cool because in like the war one, he talks about how we had the telescope, and the telescope that we use for space, they used it
to spy on the other countries.
Yep. But anyways, so when you look at like why research is important, is he was saying how planet Venus used to have a really live atmosphere. It was good, and then it deteriorated, and it's gone, or it's not gone, but it's essentially gone. So
like a livable atmosphere.
Yeah. So he's like, we gotta figure out why that happened, because if that happens to Earth, we're screwed. So that's why he wants to explore there, and so that way we can figure out how to help ours stay. And that's actually kind of a big thing right now, is we're hurting our atmosphere, and before we know it, it's going to deteriorate. So I think it's definitely important to explore space, especially Mars. And to me, living on Mars, it seems like it's a ridiculous idea, but in my opinion, I don't think it is the worst idea we've ever had. We're getting overpopulated, but I'm kind of torn, because you look at it and then it's like we have different countries, and we can't get along. Yeah. So imagine 2 different planets that can't get along.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. So if if that happened, we're like, and who decides who goes there?
Oh, those damn Martians!
I know, exactly.
Trying to take all of our jobs.
So it's just crazy to think about, like, what's gonna happen with that? Like, would there be any fighting, or what if I wanted to go to Mars? Or are they only gonna send like the Eastern Hemisphere and the Western Hemisphere stays? And then how would you divide up the land once that happens? There's so much to consider when doing that it would be very difficult. But just the idea of life on Mars would be a big deal. Or I don't even know, but I just think it'd be cool, but it would be so hard to actually make work.
Well, I mean, we'll be seeing pretty soon in the next like 50 years, 100 years, because that Elon Musk is already getting people to go to Mars.
I really like that, man.
I think he said like this year he wants to like try to start heading there.
Yeah, that would be crazy. So I'm into Mars like that. Like, I would love to set up an atmosphere there, because I'm gonna just assume that we won't get there in my lifetime, but we can get things there in my lifetime. Or
I mean, we already have too.
Right. If we maybe we'll get people there, but it's gonna be like a one-way mission, not there and back. So like, you look at, I learned this in biology. Sunflowers, when you plant those, they absorb a lot of. They can handle some of the nutrients in the soil that other plants can't, like bad nutrients. So I was thinking, like, I don't know what their soil is made out of there on Mars, but if you went there, planted a field of just sunflowers.
Oh, see if they would absorb any other nutrients that are down there.
And then you dig them all up and plant in regular stuff like food. But to me, you would just need to get an atmosphere going. That would be the hard part. So you'd get there and you'd have to plant
like you're talking like cross genetics, like how what is it? Kind of like making new plants almost.
I mean, maybe that's not necessarily what I was thinking, but it could happen. But I'm just saying, like, if you plant the sunflowers first, they take up any bad nutrients in the soil, so that way you know the soil is going to be pretty clean, if at all, if they can even thrive there. And then you plant in just regular plants, so that way you can get some sort of oxygen going type deal. But it'd be so hard to do that. But we'd have to just get an atmosphere up there on Mars, which is going to be a difficult thing. But to me, I think the only way to really would be doing it is plants. But how do you cover plants over an entire world?
Well, I mean, have you ever seen on Instagram all those videos of like these new robots that we're making? They can like jump and do backflips and stuff, and they're like super sophisticated. I'm thinking we'd probably end up sending like a team of robots there and like setting up like a habitable zone for people.
That's a good point. You get a building. One problem, like, and they figured out is you just need to keep it supplied with oxygen, not for the robots, but if you wanted to get people there. But yeah, that's a good point. You just you can program them to plant food and all this stuff, and you could, that's a good theory. Like, you get some robots
some construction
there.
building robots.
You get them to build at least, maybe not even that big, like
just
a little small
dome.
Community, or even a dome. You know, like in The Simpsons where they have that dome. And so even if you just had like a little neighborhood though, and then had it walled off, like that would be a start. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, and then send Matt Damon.
Get him. He'll know what to do.
But I mean, when you're talking about sending people to Mars, it, like you said before, it would definitely be a one-way mission.
Yeah.
Like that person would have to be willing, or the people would have to really be like willing to give their life in order for science to grow and learn more about Mars.
Yep. And it would be a thing. And I remember they were talking about it a few years ago. They were going to send like 3 guys and 1 girl, and just in case they had to reproduce or something.
Man.
They were talking about that. I don't know whatever happened with that mission, but yeah, it would, I mean, I don't know. That'd be a really hard thing to give up, especially if you devoted your whole life to it, you don't have wife and kids, maybe it wouldn't be. But, if you have a wife and kids at home, or a husband and kids.
I mean, if someone volunteers to do that, and then out in space they're just like, wait a second,
right?
I don't want to do this. It'd have to take a lot of willpower just to go through with all that.
It would not be an easy decision to make, but yeah, I mean, Mars is a possibility to. I mean, we don't have to live on Mars either. We don't even have to find another planet.
Yeah.
But it's just we like to have options as people. It is getting overpopulated here, and in the next 100 years, who knows what's going to happen. Speaking of overpopulation, last night I was thinking about this. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed, right?
Right.
Matter, atoms are matter. Humans are made up of mainly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, all that stuff. How has our population been growing, like increasing, and matter's not created nor destroyed? How do we have human babies forming greater and greater amounts, and we're not gaining carbon or hydrogen or nitrogen? Are we just sucking it out of the earth? You know what I mean? How is that happening?
Well, I think it's because it's already in us, and then.
But it's multiplying.
When a man loves a woman,
cells multiply though. So
I'm not qualified to talk about this.
But I was thinking about that last night.
How high were you?
Matter can be created nor destroyed. So how are cells multiplying and making these humans? And if this was the case, it would almost be really difficult to get overpopulated. But so then we'll say, we're just taking it out of the earth. That's the logical thing to say. But if we're taking it out of the earth, why isn't the earth shrinking? And I get it. It's like, but there's millions and millions and billions of atoms out there. There's billions in us, trillions in us. But still, if every human, and then we die, we get buried, or we get, what's it called when you burned?
Oh, cremated.
Cremated, yeah. And you get put in a urn though, and like if you're put in the urn, you're in the urn. Your atoms aren't going anywhere. If you're put in a coffin, your atoms aren't going anywhere. And then, yeah, I know there's people that after they get cremated, they get dumped somewhere, and yep, so then those carbons, whatever, sure. But what about the people in coffins and the people in urns that haven't been left out? I'm just saying, like, I don't, that's the one thing I was thinking about. And there's probably a scientist who has an explanation for this.
Or even someone that'll watch this and be like,
you guys are
listen,
idiots.
dude.
Yeah.
Listen.
But I was just, last night I was getting ready for bed, and I was thinking about this, just kind of going over what we were going to talk about, and I was like, how does that happen? Matter can't be created nor destroyed. Why is our population increasing in such a vast amount, and we're not seeing any drastic changes? And your cells multiply, you see them, one cell splits into two, and then splits into two, and splits into two. I can't.
Yeah, you're busting my brain right now.
I know, it's just something, and I know it's not with aliens, but it's just something to think about. Like, how does that even occur? So it'll be interesting. Someone's gonna know, and it's
how'd you have this thought?
I don't know, but it just came to me, and I couldn't believe it. You look at stuff like that, and it's just, to me, that blew my mind. I'm like, did I just crack a code that no one else thought of? Like, I don't know. There's probably, but yeah.
I really don't think overpopulation is like a major concern here on Earth, because there's way bigger things that have to be dealt with than overpopulation, because we've got all sorts of land.
Yeah.
But resources and like how we're basically destroying our planet. Like,
yeah, carbon emissions and all that stuff. I think that would definitely, like, overpopulation wouldn't be as big of a deal if we could cut down on the amount of cars and, their exhaust and stuff like that. If that got cut down, then it'd be a little bit, then more people you have, who cares? You can build up, but people would be living in apartments, but you also got to make sure you have enough room for trees and all that stuff,
Well, just the problem is all these giant corporations all over the world, they don't want to get away from fossil fuels.
Right. And it's more expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're doing it for the greater good of the world, that means keeping your own like company around for the long run.
Right.
And like, of course, it'll take a lot of time and money to like get there and make the switch, but in the end, it's worth it.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, the thing is like, okay, I don't buy organic food. It's more expensive, but if there's a company out there, and this is just me personally, but it'll, if they're a couple bucks more, but they switch to solar energy to run their plants, or something like that, where they're not using fossil fuel, or they're regulating their carbon emissions or all that, I'd have a more likely chance of buying from them. So it would be a little bit more expensive, and yeah, they would probably lose a little bit of money, but I think more people would buy their products because of it, especially young people.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy how our generation is starting to act.
Oh yeah, I think it's really going to change, and then
I think things
once
are going to
once all those older politicians are gone.
Yep.
We're gonna have all these kids with all these ideas.
Yeah. And
we'll probably hit like a new like informational age or like Renaissance era in human history.
I think it's gonna be. I'm kind of excited because I'll get to live through it at least when I'm older. But you start looking at, okay, well, you see reports on
young adults.
Yeah, young adults. They used to buy apartments, and now they're starting to buy houses.
Yeah.
Well, the article was talking about how they buy houses because of their pets. They want to have dogs, and not a lot of apartments have dogs. But it's like things like that. And then our generation cares about the environment. I mean, I don't know anybody that's like, it's not a big deal. Who's our age? I mean, there's going to be a few, but not the mass majority. So you look at that, and then we care about our environment, and we were kind of left with, people kind of dropped this off to us saying, oh, well, you didn't really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
It's like, this will be your problem.
Yeah. And so I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there's going to be greedy people out there, people our age, but it's going to take one guy, because like a CEO of.
Yeah, like someone that would have to kick this off and get this like really started would have to be someone super powerful. And I mean, like, they might even do it soon, like Elon Musk or the CEO of Amazon, someone with like unlimited resources.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
those two guys are actually like the big thinkers, and they actually think about this stuff and like support it.
Elon has a lot of opportunities because I don't think he's opened up to investors yet. So if he opened up his company to investors, that's that much more money he would be getting too. But you look at, obviously in the future, there's going to be someone who keeps the company going. Like, it's going to get passed, the torch is going to get passed down. These big corporations aren't just going to go away. They're going to pass the torch down. Then there's going to be people our age who take that position someday, and they're just going to be like, yeah, okay, well, we're just making money. And then there might be one who's like, what if we switch to, electric? And then there's going to be those people that say, I'm starting up my own new company, and we're going to make it all eco-friendly, and people are going to be like, all right, we're buying from them.
I mean, it'd have to be a united like decision.
Oh yeah.
Like, it'd have to be a lot of big and powerful people to say, hey, we're gonna start this now.
Yep. And the problem is though, even if the United States, we're a huge country. If you look at us compared to Europe, we're huge.
And we're doing the most damage.
I mean, yeah, we're up there.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, and even if we cut down, though, that would make a difference. But it's almost a global effort that would need to change. And I don't know what the kids are like in China and Japan and Russia. I don't know if they think the same way that the kids of the United States are thinking like right now. But it'd definitely be a global effort. But I think kind of the youth is all kind of connected in that way. So I'm hoping they'd think the same way. And just, I think over time, we're going to embetter the earth that we were given. But yeah, it's just the older generations, I'm not mad at them, but we definitely have some things that we're going to have to fix that, they might be blamed on us, but they're really not our fault. But,
I mean, it takes a lot of failures to make one success.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what this becomes of.
We definitely need some like new people like in government, definitely, to have to get it started, because I remember it was at like one of the eco summits this past year, so like all the major like nations go to it and they talk about like climate change and all that, and the US went, the people that went for the US promoted like the usage of coal and fossil fuels. And why would you even do that if we already have all this evidence that say the fossil fuels, like the burning of fossil fuels and using them as energy, is so bad for our atmosphere? And they still they go and they want to use more coal.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Like I know we keep bringing him up, but Elon Musk, man, he's got the Teslas. I hope I have the opportunity to own a Tesla someday. I'm not going to say I'm not going to own a car that uses gas.
Well, they look nice too.
But Teslas are amazing. And in Florida, or not in Florida, in California, there's actually quite a few Teslas out there. There's like whole parking lots dedicated to charging your cars. And you're starting to see them become a bigger and bigger thing. And before you know it, I think they're going to take over. Not all the way, but hopefully the ratio is at least going to be 50-50, which would be a huge help. But
it would
just
definitely
takes guys
be
like that.
huge.
And look at how young Elon Musk is. He's not that old.
Yeah,
So-
what is he? He's like 40 something.
40 something, yeah. So he's like not our younger generation, but he's kind of a wave, and I think all these young people are attracted to what he's doing. And because not only is he just helping, he's trying to help with the environment and all this stuff, but he's kind of a relatable guy. The dude makes a flamethrower.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
boost
he
his
made a
business, the
flamethrower.
Boring Company, and you just see things like that, and I think people can relate to him more, and it's just more. It's a
And
better fit.
he does what he wants.
He does.
He doesn't let like politicians or anything influence him, anything like that. He does what he truly believes is right, and what he thinks is going to make things better.
Yep, he's got like that cyber tunnel or whatever he's calling it that he's trying to build.
Oh, yeah.
Under LA, and he's doing it. He did a show, and he's like, so how'd you get that started? He's like, well, I dug a hole.
Yeah.
That's all he said is I dug a hole. And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I got the permit, and I said, all right, guys, start digging down, and that's what we did.
Like him and Bezos, the Amazon CEO, him and Elon Musk, they're just like critical thinkers.
Oh yeah.
Very critical thinkers, because like what is it? Oh yeah, Amazon and Bezos, they've like created these reusable rockets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, they take off and they can land back like in the same spot, and you can use them multiple times. But NASA in the U.S., we still use like one-use rockets.
Yep.
And I've read and I've watched videos on how that's because like our government and like our elected officials and representatives, they vote on this. Like they know the technology is out there to get reusable rockets, but they don't want to because we would make less money and we would have like less jobs because they want people to. We want the one-way rockets because we want to keep making them and keep earning money off of them.
Yeah.
But like, you have to start moving forward at some point.
Right. And, I wonder that might change. I mean, some Space Force is supposed to start. Who knows what that technology is going to take for us, because the capabilities that our military has,
And that's what Trump wants to do, like, for his new budget. He wants to put a lot more into, like, I think he wants to, like, upgrade our space defense.
Yep. So I think that would be huge, because you look at what we've come with, like, for our Air Force and our Army.
Mm-hmm.
SR-71 Blackbird, fastest jet around, so fast it can outrun a rocket.
Oh yeah.
And we have created that with a budget for that. So if we created a budget for a Space Force, imagine the things that we would come up with then. I'm not saying NASA has been there and NASA's been doing research, but for Americans, typical Americans, it seems like military is more important to us overall.
So yeah, and
that would be part of the military, and therefore we would get more funding because NASA was starting to get shut down a little bit. There was
they don't have a lot of funding at all.
So maybe we'll put it into a Space Force, so it's military. How much of it's going to be military? Who knows? But you get the possibilities to actually start spending exponentially more money into space than you would have if you stuck with NASA, because people don't. Okay, I'm just gonna do a generalization here. You see a lot of Christians. Christians tend to be Republican, but Christians also don't believe in space exploration as much because of God. God created the earth. I get it. But like I said, Christians are Republican. Republicans like spending a lot of money on military.
Generally.
This is a complete generalization, but for the vast majority, this is true. And then, so the Christians, Republicans more spending. Trump says, okay, part of the military is going to be in space. And now you have more Republicans saying, oh yeah, Space Force, let's get it. And really, it's just ramped up NASA that's going to do lasers as well. Who knows what that's going to do, but I just think it's pretty astounding what we're doing.
Yeah, to get it started, we definitely need to put the money there first.
Oh yeah, we gotta get some moolah.
And like the way I think of it is, if you spend less money on like the military and like infrastructure of the United States military, and you put it towards something that's like for science and like gaining information and like exploring, that's sort of like promoting peace. So like if you're putting more money into those projects to make the world a better place, you don't need the money for your military.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we
had the Cold War.
Yeah,
we had the Cold War, which was a space race. Who knows if that would actually help or hurt? Because Ronald Reagan said that we had things up in space that could shoot down. We didn't. We lied. But who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with that. I just think overall the Space Force, although it sounds like a ridiculously dumb idea on the base, I think when you really look into it, it's actually very smart, because we're going to get more money into our space exploration. Who knows? Maybe NASA would even just jump in with them. I don't know. And then they get NASA's funding and the Space Force funding, which I get NASA's isn't that much, but more money.
And then that would catch the attention of like Elon Musk and Amazon, and
right.
If we start doing something good, then they'll want to get into it too.
Right. SpaceX, that's Elon Musk's company. They are kind of, I think, I'm more impressed with them than NASA right now.
Oh yeah.
So you look at them, and it'd be huge, or maybe NASA, because the Space Force is there, the government's like, we really can't give you that much. Maybe just NASA and SpaceX would kind of combine and the Amazon, and they can combine and kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen with this?
It's like the analogy of like a sports player not taking the money of the big contract that they offer him, and instead he wants to put it into his team. He wants to get more better players around him. So like that's like what the U.S. should do. Instead of like keeping this money for us and like all the higher up people, we need to put it into those around us.
Yeah.
Like NASA and all those, and just so we can make everything here better.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is getting a little political, but you cut down on taxes from the big companies that you really want to tax more because they're rich. You cut down on their taxes. Elon Musk is a millionaire. You cut down on how much he has to pay into the government. That's more you can put into his company.
And I guess you could be like, hey, we're going to, like these big corporations and stuff that control everything.
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, we're going to cut down your taxes, but if we're going to do that, if you want us to do that, you got to do something for us. Like, you got to
invest your money into something smart or whatnot, We won't necessarily, but yeah,
you got to do some good with it.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, a lot of people don't like
bastards. They don't want to do
tax
it.
cuts, but I think that's a great idea. I personally don't believe that we should tax rich people that much more. I mean, obviously I get it's based on percentage, but that would be, you don't tax Elon Musk as much. He has more money to put into SpaceX. He has more money to better all of us. His reusable rockets that he launched that we got to watch, that was huge.
Yeah.
And he took one guy to have the money. Obviously, it took many amount of people to do that, but
he worked for his money. He got it.
And then he does something like this that's bettering everybody. Everybody in the world has learned something from that, and now we all know, and that's helping everybody in the mass. So I think that's important.
It's just greediness is the problem. Wanting to keep the money.
No, but it's crazy how I can't even
put it into words.
But
can't even put it into words.
It's amazing what we as people can do, and then there's gonna be other creatures out there that have already done this stuff, and there's creatures that hasn't even thought about space at all. So that's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know.
Sound like a bunch of conspiracy theorists.
It is. Another thing, sorry, E.T., you just mentioned that. I don't think aliens would look that weird. Okay, so I'm kind of torn because part of me is like, we're made out of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and
yeah, like us as humans, we're like, the way we're built, we are very effective.
Right. So, and I get it. There's probably more. There's an opportunity for a larger amount of effectiveness we can improve, but every animal has a nose. I mean, mammal, nose.
It's all in here.
Yep. Nose, eyes, ears, mouth. Like, those are some of the essentials. There's obviously we're gonna keep it PG, but you have all that. So you would assume that they'd have all that. Maybe it looks a little different. So I was thinking, like, they're gonna look pretty similar to us. They're made out of the same elements. But then when you look at the flip side, on Earth, everything on Earth lives in the same conditions, relatively speaking. Speaking.
We're so diverse.
Exactly. So why do we have a Venus flytrap? A plant that can eat.
That eats meat.
Things. Well, imagine a Venus flytrap 20 times the size that is in another planet. That could be a thing. So at first, I would think. I was thinking, well, we would look kind of the same, but at the same time, what if the plants have the brain and another planet? Not that, I'm just saying, like, because they obviously can live here. They can live here. And so, whatever it would be, I mean, I assume they have eyes, ears, mouth, nose, all that. They don't necessarily have to have ears. Deaf people do just fine here. Obviously, I think that they would adapt to maybe grow them at some point, but so I'm kind of torn with, they'd look like us, but also maybe not. They would look completely different. If you live on a cold planet, you might have way more body hair. It could literally be just a really smart gorilla, like a really smarter than us gorilla.
Oh, like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Or you look at, if you're on a hot planet, it'll be like a naked mole rat.
Oh yeah.
Big old naked mole rat.
It's like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, you look at all these aliens, but they still got 4 limbs. They still have a head and a mouth.
Yeah, so I don't know how extravagant it would be. I guess I can't. After talking about it out loud, I guess I don't think aliens are going to look that similar to us at all.
We'll never know.
No, unless they can come here now, but they're going to be coming here expecting dinosaurs, and they're going to see us. But what the hell happened?
They're going to be like, you guys kind of suck.
One thing I was thinking about is if they get here, they're going to speak a different language. It's just going to happen.
Or maybe not even at all. Maybe they...
Right. Maybe. And I was thinking, like, what if their whole language just clicks? Like that's their language. That could be a thing.
Well, I mean...
They're not going to be able to understand us. We're just going to say that. They've never heard a language like us. I know that but the chance of them actually hearing a language like us is so small. So I'm just going to assume they don't have a language like us.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be able to translate to us. The thing that would have to be the same is numbers.
Oh, yeah.
They would have had to have come up with numbers. We have equations, and equations stick for the universe. A squared plus B squared equals C squared is true for every single right triangle out there.
Yeah.
So they would have had to have come up with that because we use that all the time. Especially when you're looking at getting to Earth, they have to calculate angles on how to get here, where to launch from. So they would have to know that as well. So we can communicate through numbers somehow, obviously. We can show them, will they have maybe different looking numbers? Sure. Maybe their 3 looks like an 8.
But it's all the same idea.
Yes. So
mathematics makes up everything.
Yeah, the universe can be explained in mathematics. I mean, to an extent, not everything, but it's something that numbers would save us if that would ever happen. That's how we'd communicate. But it's just something to think about. Like, numbers are the universe, and I don't even know. I always find numbers amazing too, like infinity.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you have one there and you have another here. Let's put them together.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more than having one here, and that's more than having one here.
So we'll call that, and they'll call it something. So numbers are going to be everywhere. I mean, even we didn't all start. Everybody on Earth didn't start at the same time, and
that means we gotta get better at math.
Yeah, that would be. But who knows? I mean, and we might have equations that they don't know about yet because they didn't need them to get here, and they might have obviously I believe they're going to have equations that we won't know about yet. And that's saying that if the aliens came to us, in 100,000 years, who's to say that we're not going to go visit aliens? And same thing, but I think it'd be amazing. If you look at Elon Musk sent out that car with the the Tesla, I don't know if they put that in there, but that'd be nice if they put in like just a little equation sheet.
Oh yeah,
like that would have been
like those cheat sheets you get on tests.
Yeah, just a little equation sheet and how we count and like maybe like an exam. I mean, obviously there's so many equations, but that would be something to definitely. I don't know if he did that. I don't know if people even thought about doing that, or if I'm just kind of dumb. But like that would have been something kind of cool to put in there to like, hey, here's a, and then those
it'd be like another golden record like they put out with like the Voyager satellites.
Yep.
Some more information.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just something to consider. I mean, numbers are everywhere. Numbers are everything. Aliens are. They would have to know those too.
Oh man, I had a thought. Can't remember it now though.
Well, while you think, another thing I was thinking about is all the elements out there are set, pretty much. So an alien
that we know of.
Hear me out. Aliens aren't going to come here and have a new element that we don't know about, because, and this is my theory, I could be wrong. Atoms are composed of protons, neutrons, electrons. Charges. They're composed of charges. A positive, a neutral, and a negative charge. So you'd have to tell me that there's a fourth charge out there for there to be a new atom, because you have these positively and neutral packed atoms in the middle called the nucleus, and then electrons around. And there is a limit to how many electrons can fit around this atom. So once you get too far out, those electrons that you have on the very outer shell of this atom, they're going to fly off. They're not going to stay there because they're way too far out. So I don't believe that there's going to be a possibility of an element that we don't know about yet. That's just my idea. So when aliens come here, I don't think it's going to be like anything like they're going to, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Though? Like, I think the elements are kind of set in stone.
But then that kind of makes me think about the whole dark matter and dark energy aspect of things. Cause,
maybe they could be that.
Because that makes up, what, like 95% of our universe is this stuff that we don't really know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dark matter intrigues me. I read about it and I can't remember everything, but...
Well, now they're saying that dark matter and dark energy, it's not two different things. It's like one thing. It's like a dark liquid or something.
Yeah.
Not liquid. No, I don't know. But anyways, they're both like combined. It's the same thing. But I don't know enough about it to talk about.
No,
so
neither do I. But even then, black holes have mass because they deteriorate over time. It takes millions of years, but they start evaporating is what they call it, and there is matter in a black hole. So I mean, yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I just feel like every element would have to be made up of. I guess there is dark matter, and they know it exists because they can see it. They have like X-ray telescopes, and they can see it through that. It's crazy how we can see the universe because it's not with eyes. It's not, that's how telescopes work. Is with
it's
mirrors.
Through waves.
We look at it through waves, X-rays. It's ridiculous, but that's the fact, Jack. But you see it, and they can see where dark matter's at. Because it kind of warps the waves. Yeah. But you can still like see through it. It's not. I don't know.
And it has this effect on everything around it.
Yep. Because that's like gravity. It has a gravitational force to it too. So I guess technically there could be a alien made of dark matter. I don't know. But I'm just gonna...
It's God.
I'm sticking with the idea that all elements are kind of there already. Because we've even accelerated packets of energy or charges into each other and to create atoms that last 14 seconds. Mm-hmm. So maybe on a planet with extreme gravity, that could hold together, but we've already come up with it. It just can't sustain life on Earth. Not life because it's a particle, but it can't stay around for too long because it's so weak compared to other things. But I don't know.
All right, this is kind of not necessarily off topic, but do you think that there's like technology that we have that like we're not supposed to know about, or that like...
Do you mean like
government or like secret agencies has kept to themselves because they don't want it out there in the world?
I bet you that was the thing. I bet you that happened with the first iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I bet you the government had that. It's not necessarily the same thing, but I bet you they have stuff. They might have holograms.
Well, they do. Have you seen Tupac in concert? He's a hologram now.
But yeah, so I mean, they probably stuff like that. And you look at, one thing is, like, there's maps. I got the opportunity to look at this map that they had. It was at Offutt Air Force Base. Oh. And you lay out this map, and you turn off the lights, and the map shows buildings straight up. So if, like, you're at New York, you would see the Empire State Building straight up and down, and then you look at it, and you can see all that. It wasn't of New York.
Oh, like 3D map?
Yeah. So you see them come straight up, and you see that in video games, but the government has that. That's a thing. And yeah, it's probably, you can probably get one now, but they probably had that before we even knew about it, and not everybody does know about it. But they have maps that are holograms essentially when you look at them in dark light. And we don't have access to that. Granted, we have all the GPS on our phone, but you're telling me you don't think the government had the opportunity to have GPS before we did?
Well, I think the government, not necessarily the government, but these other like higher up forces have technology that can change the world, but they can't put it out there because, all these big corporations, if they don't make their money and stuff, what's going to happen? Who's going to control what? Because I was watching this, you've probably seen it before, but this documentary on Netflix called Unacknowledged. It's about all these conspiracies and like aliens and stuff like that, but they were talking about this this invention that Nikola Tesla had. It was it was like this big generator that he had created, and it basically took energy like out of the air and like the atmosphere and like the waves and stuff and like all that nonsense, and it was basically free energy. Like you could use like one of those generators to power like an entire city, like not have to use any fuels or anything like that. And like apparently some like government agents or something came out, and they kind of, maybe they threatened him or maybe they didn't, but they were like, hey, you can't make this, you can't make this energy free for everyone. I don't know, it's just a conspiracy.
No, I could definitely see, you know, people speculate that we have the cure for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
The government has that, but they haven't put it into use yet. It definitely is a possibility. I think that they have technology that they are working with now, and then eventually it'll become public. I think that they're ahead of us, like one step ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I'm okay with that because I'm hoping, you know, I'm kind of just putting all my eggs in one basket. I'm just hoping that they're using it and they're testing it to make sure when I use it, I'm going to be safe while using it.
Or they're gonna bring this technology to us when it's crunch time.
Right. You know,
like
things
have gotten bad, and they're like, okay, we gotta use this now.
Yep. So I'm okay with that. I know some people aren't, but for me, it's like, okay, if you're doing it, if you have a good reason behind it, I'll trust you. I have more faith in the government than a lot of people do, and probably more than I should, but I'll let them do their thing. And
maybe we don't even have any of this stuff. We're just dumb.
Yeah. I mean, they say that in our iPhone we have more technology than they had in the first space shuttle to the moon.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, we definitely we have so much technology in our hand that they're trusting us with that. We can Google anything. Granted, there's, you know, the government might have a regulation on that secretly where there's stuff you can't find, but
they
have the
keep
dark
track
web
of what you're doing.
Yeah, then they have the dark web out there though, and so I don't know. It's all crazy. I mean, the government. One thing that I started talking about. So fun fact. Ethan and I were talking
Zach
about
fact.
Zach fact. We were talking about how you got stacks for your band.
Oh yeah.
Aiden's part of Fat Nap. In case you guys didn't know, the little band that we talked about last.
I dabble in music.
But so if you guys don't know what stacks are, they're like 2 amps, one on top of another.
Yeah, you got the amp head where you can control what the sounds are going to be, and then you have the cabinet, which is basically just a giant speaker.
Yeah. So me and Ethan were talking about how you recently got stacks, and next thing I know, we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, I'm scrolling through Instagram. I see an ad from Amazon, and it's stacks.
Oh yeah, that's happening now.
It's like a thing. I know it sounds like whatever. I don't think it should be loud, but if companies can hear what we're doing, if Amazon knows that I was talking about stacks, the government has to know. The government absolutely has to know I was talking about them, because the government's not going to let Amazon do something like that unless the government can do it too.
But I mean, then you think, who's going to listen to that anyway?
Right.
Who even cares? Like what an average person's talking about.
Yeah, they may, if I'm talking about, oh shit, sorry guys. If I'm talking about
building bombs.
Yeah, that's different, but I don't know. I mean, to me, I'm not planning on blowing anything up anytime soon.
Yeah, I can relate to that too, because just the other day I was on Nike's website, and I was just looking at shoes, and then like the next day, like I'm scrolling through Instagram, and every ad is like a Nike ad.
Yeah.
And then I get like on Snapchat and stuff, it's like, hey, you want a job at Nike?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy on how it's working, and like I said, I'm not too worried about it right now, because it's just for little things. But
maybe it's just advertising.
Yeah, and at the same, I said I trust the government, but I don't really care for the government knowing what I'm doing all the time. Like, am I doing anything illegal? No, but you don't need to know.
It's like,
what
you
I'm
want
doing.
my search history? Okay.
Yeah, like I'm partly like I use incognito now.
Dude, it's not even incognito. There's no way that it's only secret to you.
Well, I know. I just like using it because then the cookies can't come up. Which that's the things that are saying, hey, you searched Nike. Well, it'll pull up Nike ads while you're looking through other websites. I don't know how it does cross apps. Mm-hmm. That's the thing I don't get is
Oh, yeah.
And not even if I Google search it, if I'm talking to somebody, there is
Well,
no
some people
reason.
think the speculation is like the microphone in your
Yeah.
iPhone, like it's always on.
That's what I think too, because how could I? Because I wasn't Googling anything. I might have been on Snapchat or something, but I wasn't like recording me saying it either. We were just talking about it. I might have been texting somebody, but how did Instagram know that I was talking about it? It's just the government. If
Yeah,
Instagram
and
can
you're
know,
not even like a musician. Like
exactly.
like
No, I know what you mean though.
you would never have any reason for
I
an
would
amp
never
head.
have a reason for stacks, but I said the word. That's what I was like. I said the word stacks, and it was like, oh, well, boom, there you go. Could it have been a coincidence? Sure, but
Yeah.
how often do you see ads for stacks from Amazon? People
Not
don't know what those
often,
are.
not often,
those-
unless
that's
you're
not-
actually looking for them.
Exactly. I've never seen an advertisement for them ever, and then I say
Like
it,
for
and the
you,
next
it'd be
day-
more likely to see ads for Slim Jim.
Exactly, exactly. But no, I know we got a little off topic from aliens, but government, aliens, you know.
I mean, we're still along the lines of technology.
Yeah, we have way farther to go, technologically wise. I mean, it'll never end, I don't think, but yeah. Anyways.
Well, I know. It reminds me of a quote that Albert Einstein had. It's a pretty popular quote. He was like, I don't know what kind of weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, it's crazy how far we've come technology-wise, and aliens, I believe aliens exist. Anyways, I think that's pretty much a wrap. I don't have more to dabble about in aliens.
Not that much.
I mean, just keep in mind, if you know how overpopulation exists and yet we still have the same amount of atoms, please let me know, because it just mind boggles me. But it was good having you on.
Hey, it was great to be on.
Oh, wow, dude. That just makes this, it makes it all worth it. Fat Nap, check it out. They have an Instagram, follow it.
Fat Nat Band, all one word, lowercase.